Where my mom's at. Raising kids, cleaning shit, speed along now.
Also, for my Gen Xers and my Gen X adjacent people who are down with us, Kid 90. I'm watching that documentary on Hulu. It's with Soleil Moon Frye, who played Punky Brewster. And if anybody wants to know what it was like to be a kid in the 90s, by kid I mean like your adolescence, it is 100% what it was like watching her childhood, because she grew up in LA. It could have been superimposed with my adolescence as well. It was nice to see people before everybody recorded everything. You know, like you can even see how people talk and act. Like it's different before everybody was under surveillance all the time, and just doing a bunch of drugs and hanging out. And the music, Perry Farrell's in the documentary, which is like he's the icon of the 90s too. It was a great time because it really was before people started scrutinizing each other for like this nonsense that we're doing right now. There was a freedom, there was space to dream and to be bored and to exist without like knowing what everyone else was doing at all times. Oh, there's Brian Austin Green. So Brian Austin Green, remember, was on BH9. And it's so funny because I guess I remember too when this happened, like he came out with a rap album at some point and he got hated so much for it. And in the documentary, he's like, yeah, I guess there was a time I realized that, yeah, just everybody hates me. Everybody hates me. I was like, oh my God, this poor guy. Like, can you imagine? Could you just imagine knowing that everybody hates you? And it's not just a suspicion. Like he was getting trashed, like his music. And
wait, why did everyone hate him?
So this is before white rappers really existed. There was like Vanilla Ice and the Beastie Boys, and they were kind of still clowned. Like it wasn't cool. And so Brian Austin Green was known for being an actor on Beverly Hills 90210, and he was a child actor. And then he came out with a hip hop album. And yeah, like I know it's a recipe for disaster.
Was that Dylan? Was that his character's name?
No, Dylan was a different guy, Luke Perry.
Oh.
Gosh, I have such a good memory for this stuff.
It's wild that you said BH9. And it's just like, what the fuck is that?
It's the 90 if you're a fan. BHers, BH9. Duh. God, what do you fucking know? Nerd alert. So he releases this hip hop album and it just gets trashed. And like, I remember it coming out and I remember my friends and I being like, fucking nerd. And like, but they set him up. They set him up because he would be on BH9 and they'd be like, David, that was his character's name. David, you should rap at the house party. And then like, he's a kid, he's like 14 or 15. And then he raps on like Beverly Hills 90210. It's so embarrassing. Cause you know how uncool that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super not cool.
It's not cool. It's not cool. Anyways, he got a bunch of, it was just funny to see him be like, everybody hates me. I know it. I mean, he seems cool as shit now. Like, I'm sure he's gotten over it. Yeah, but I it's not like the 90s were some magical decade. It was just the decade, it was before surveillance, it was the last analog decade. So you really look at it now and you go like, wow, like you could just exist. You just existed and there were no, you took a photograph of yourself maybe twice a year. Maybe I have like 2 photos of me from the 90s. And it's,
right, you'd have to go get it developed.
Yeah. And Polaroid film was really expensive. So if you had a Polaroid camera, you were really like precious about your photos. And yeah, it was expensive and it was hard. And so you really valued every photograph that you took. So I just remember like just feeling like I definitely had a richer internal world in the 90s because there was more space for it. Like I wake up and I look at my phone and I look at emails and I look at Instagram and I look at TikTok and that's what occupies my mind. Whereas there was a time when like I would wake up and just think human thoughts.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh. It's weird.
No, yeah. Like I feel like I would memorize, like when I'd watch a show, I'd retain it and comprehend it for longer.
Right. Like you would enjoy it.
Right. And then these days it's like I watch something and then I was like, have I ever seen that? And then like you watch like a scene from like, oh wait, did I see this? And it was like you saw it maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And you just don't retain it because you're just constantly just so much stuff that you're intaking.
That's such a good insight. Yeah. Or even as I devour a Cobra Kai episodes, you're like, one episode's over. Oh, the next one's coming. Thank God. Now I don't have to sit with the emptiness of this being done.
Right. You're not rethinking about the episode for the entire week until the next one.
Exactly. But there needs to be like that refractory period after you see something that moves you. Like you have to sit and digest it and think about it. Like when I watched that fucking Jessica Biel show.
Seventh Heaven.
No. You say that like Rice-A-Roni. It's not.
No, that's how the theme song goes.
Seventh Heaven.
That was my BH9.
Your BH9.
Yeah.
That show was cornier than BH9. That was corny as fuck. Weren't they all like church kids?
Hold on. You're judging Seventh Heaven, and you're saying BH9 is where it's
fuck,
at.
Bro.
It's the same shit, dog. There's
It is
not the one thing
not
that's
the same shit.
Yes, it is, homie.
Donna Martin
Heaven.
graduates, and Seventh Heaven was for nerds. BH9 was for like really cool.
Okay.
Wait, but what's that show that I watched with Jessica Biel that I brought up, and you guys were like, "Oh, that's like TBS. That's not even real, scary." Or
What
crime. It was a crime show. The Savage.
It was a
Sinner,
new one, right?
The Sinner. Look up The Sinner. Oh my God, this show. I watched this over the course. Oh my! It traumatized me because I don't watch these murder killer-y shows. I just don't. And I watched The Sinner the first season, and I was so affected and so moved by the story and her acting and.
She's the shit, dude.
She's amazing. She's so talented. And that's what it felt like in the 90s where like and also when you think about how you consumed entertainment. So in that decade, you had a TV show you like. For instance, Friends was huge. My roommates loved Friends. So every Thursday night at 8:00 or whenever it was, they'd get in the kitchen and they would watch Friends. And you would get one episode and then you would enjoy that episode, maybe watch the show after that, and then you turn the television off, and it was like time to drink and smoke and talk shit. And you know what I mean? Like you digested things, you let them rest, and now I feel like my brain is always dialed into content.
Right.
Right? I'm always dialed into...
And you're never in sync with someone else. Because like, remember, did you ever do this shit where you'd like watch, there's a show that you and your friend loved, and then you'd call each other like during the commercial break?
Yes!
Yeah, there was a couple shows that I would do that
like,
with, you know?
Oh my God, dude, no way. Did you see that? It was so fucking lame. Or what? Yeah.
Right.
I know. It's
Wild
funny.
stuff.
Tom mentioned that, like on some podcast, he had mentioned a couple of shows he was into, and he said that people were so thankful to get a recommendation for a show because there's such a glut of content now. We were on one of the platforms last night, and I was like, dude, that movie was made in 2020. Never heard of it. What's that? What is that? Like, there's no way to sift through all the content that's being created right now.
Right.
It's just so different. Everything's streaming.
Yeah.
It's like...
You're thinking, you're like, man, there's nothing good out. It's like, no, there's just too much stuff, and it's like the good stuff is buried deep in a platform, and like not until a friend recommends it will it even get on your radar, you know?
That's right, because there's so much of it. It's not like back in, when we had television channel 2, 4, 7, 11, 13, right? That's what I grew up on. And you knew the lineups. Like, what's on? Oh, yeah, have you seen that sitcom? It's on Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday. Like, you all had a common...
Must-see TV.
Yeah. What's fascinating, too, I watched, was it CBS? What were they? Oh, it was the Grammys?
Survivor?
No, it was some massive TV show, and they're like, watch it on CBS, and then watch it streaming. And I was like, oh, shit, streaming killed the television star. Yeah, video killed the radio star, and now streaming, what this is killing television. It's a whole new...
Well, because it used to be that everyone was in sync with each other, and now everyone's on their own schedule, so they can't even... Like, it's just hard to even connect on stuff that you used to be able to connect on.
I know. I think that's why it's so great when mommies get to meet each other, like fans of the Studio Jeans shows. I think that's part of the reason we're, like, it's such a great community of people. Like, oh, you like that? Oh my God. Like it means so much because you're like, oh, if I know your personality, if you like this shit. Yeah.
Right. Because it's like, oh, if you like this, then I could trust your taste.
Yeah. Then and probably you're probably a cool person. I'm just being a little subjective there.
Where my mom's at. Where my mom's wearing thongs, hitting bongs at. Raising kids, cleaning shits, need a long nap. Where my mom's at. Where my